Cause when you a boss, you could do what you want. Have a good name. Hold up, 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 hold up.
In the Tory Lanez trial, we had opening statements. Opening statements are still actually going. We had to pause midway through for lunch. Better than TV. If you watch the prosecution's opening statement, you would say guilty. If you then watch the defense's opening statement, you would say, what the hell is the prosecution thinking, charging him? Basically, the prosecution started with this story. They said that, hey, they're all at the party, and Tory is leaving the party with Meg. They're in the car. An argument breaks out, during which Meg says and insults his skills as a rap artist. This leads to a situation where she gets out of the car, and he shoots at her feet and yells, "Dance, bitch." And then she ends up at a hospital, and a doctor takes out 3 fragments of bullet wounds from her foot. Now, if you just hear, and the prosecution says that Kelsey, the other woman in the car, is going to testify that Tory shot Meg. And Kelsey has a text message where she texts somebody that, hey, Tory shot Meg. And then the rest of the prosecution's case is based on all these calls and texts where Tory's like, oh, I'm so sorry, oh, I'm so drunk. He never says that I shot him. He's like, oh, I'm just so sorry, I'm so drunk. So question what he's apologizing for. So that's the prosecution's case. Seems pretty easy. Then the defense comes up, and man, it gets spicy. First, the defense goes, they're not telling you about half of what's going on. The most important thing they're not telling you about an eyewitness who saw 2 women fighting, Kelsey and Meg. And so let's talk about why them 2 are fighting. Let's talk about how she was in the front seat. The gun was caught in the front seat. Let's talk about how she might have gunpowder. She does have gunpowder. Let's talk about how this has nothing to do with the fight between Tory and Meg and everything to do with the fight between Meg and Kelsey. And then the defense starts dropping the bombs. He basically says this, that they're in the car. Yeah, they left. But do you know why they left? They left because Kylie and Tory were in the pool together. And Kelsey and Meg both felt some type of way about that, to the point that Meg felt really some type of way about that. And she was really trying to go, to the point that eventually, because of how Meg is acting, this is according to the defense, Kylie Jenner goes to Meg Stallion and says, it's time for you to leave. They all leave. The defense's point is what happens in the car is this. Tory questions Kelsey, hey Kelsey, why are you backing up Meg for me trying to, get it on with Kylie Jenner? Meg has been snaking men from you your whole life. I hooked up with you, Kelsey, and then Meg went behind your back and hooked up with me. And Kelsey, this is not the first time. You had been hooking up with Ben Simmons. Meg went behind your back and hooked up with Ben Simmons. You had been hooking up with DaBaby. Meg went behind your back and hooked up with DaBaby. And so the defense starts dropping all these grenades. The crowd is captivated. The jury's like, oh, what's going on? And there's every reason to believe that there could have been a fight here, not between Tory and Meg, but between Meg and Kelsey. And the shooting could have not been Tory. It could have been done by any one of the other people in that car. What does all of this mean? Well, I'll tell you a couple things. First, Corey Gamble, Kris Jenner's husband, is going to testify, so this will continue to be must-see TV. 2, the judge is terrific. I expect a very fair trial. The lawyers on the defense side are terrific. I don't know what the government lawyer was doing, giving an opening presentation that made it seem like the most open and shut case ever, when in fact there are huge questions, including an eyewitness who saw 2 women fighting, suggesting that you have to explain that theory to the jury, and you didn't. So I don't love the prosecution's opening in that regard. Stay tuned. We'll have the full coverage here. It's up and it's stuck in the Tory Lanez trial.